you for joining me today. In today's video, I am going to be showing you how to repair credit inside of the app Credit Repair Cloud. So if you are looking to learn how to repair credit or become a credit hero, you are in the right place. Make sure to stick around for this entire video because I am going to be showing you some tips, tricks, hacks, so much information. You do not want to miss it. Again, guys, my name is Credit Coach Nicole Scott, and if you have not by now, make sure that you have subscribed to the channel and you have watched the entire Credit Repair Cloud training playlist. I have left a link in the description below for you to access that entire free playlist. And I'm telling you guys, this information is really something that I wish I had when I first started, because I literally paid so many people to coach me and to train me, and this information just simply was not available when I first started. So that's why I created my channel, is to help you guys become a credit hero, get more clarity on how to actually start your credit repair business and understand the concept behind credit. If you haven't also by now, make sure that you have checked out the Credit Concept podcast. I have left a link in the description below for you to check out the podcast, or you can listen wherever you get your podcast. So again, guys, we are going to go ahead and get started. This is going to be some live hands-on training. So we're going to be working on a real client's file. And the first thing that we want to do is to go ahead and open up their credit reports. I recommend using Smart Credit. All right. So if you are interested in becoming an affiliate with Smart Credit, you want to use the link below in the description and contact my people over at Smart Credit. They will help get you signed up. So that way, when you are becoming a, credit hero in your credit repair business, you can provide your affiliate link to your clients. Now, if you aren't quite there yet, and you need credit reports, you can go ahead and get a copy of your credit reports using the link below for your Smart Credit reports. But this is step one. Now, I have been working with this client for some months now. And as you can see, when we first started working together, their credit score was in the 500s, and they have already gone up over 50 points. So that's great. But there is still some work to be done. And right now, there are some errors on the credit report that we need to get fixed. So the first thing that we want to do once we are inside of Smart Credit is you want to go up to the reports button right here. And you'll see that there is a drop down menu where you can see two options. You can see your Smart Credit reports and your 3B reports and scores. Now, the first step that you want to do, and keep in mind, when you have Smart Credit, you are going to get one updated credit report from all three of the bureaus every 30 days. So in this client's case, we just updated their credit reports, and it's going to be as of this date. So there's two places that you actually want to update the reports and make sure that you are looking at the latest and greatest information. Now, if the client has, recently refreshed their credit reports and maybe they got their credit reports 15 days ago, that's fine, because you won't have another new credit report that you can actually pull until it has been at least 30 days. So again, every 30 days, you will need to log into your credit monitoring. In this case, we're using Smart Credit, and you will need to update the 3B reports and scores. So we're going to go ahead and head over to the 3B reports and scores. And once we are there, this is the screen that you will see, but we want to switch to classic view. So this little orange button at the top right of the screen, we're going to go ahead and click on switch to classic view. This is going to show us the credit report so we can actually follow along and understand the data that's actually being reported on the credit report. Okay. That's very important. Now, once you have updated this, you can see that the report date is as of today. We're going to go update it in one other location just to make sure that everything has fully refreshed. Okay. We're going to go back up to that reports tab. We're going to go to the Smart credit report. And we are just going to make sure that we select this little, it's kind of like a little recycle button, if you will, okay? And we want to make sure that we are updating the smart credit report. So you can make sure that you've updated 3B reports and scores, and you've also updated it where you see the smart credit report update. Now, we've already updated it today, so there's no need for us to update it. But I just wanted to show you guys that, because sometimes what I have noticed is when you don't update the smart credit report, some of the information is still a little outdated. So sometimes it does not import correctly inside to Credit Repair Cloud. So you want to make sure everything is fully updated before you import the new credit report inside of Credit Repair Cloud. Okay, so we'll go back to the reports, and I always recommend that you work side by side with Credit Repair Cloud and the credit reports. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to focus on the personal information. And I tell you guys this all the time. Now, one of the issues that this client is having is they are saying, hey, I am trying to buy a car right now, and they're having some issues contacting me. Now, one of the reasons why most people will get denied for something is because they have what's called a consumer statement listed on their credit report. And in this case, that's absolutely the reason why they are being declined. So I see this very often where the credit reporting bureaus will put a consumer statement on a credit report. And mind you, the consumer never asked for this. We never requested this. And on top of that, they're saying, hey, action may be required before opening an account. Please contact the consumer at this phone number or this phone number. Well, both of those phone numbers are inaccurate. Neither one of those telephone numbers belong to the client. So obviously they're not able to call the client and verify with them that they are in fact opening an account. So they're going to get denied. So what we need to do, and this is very tricky to do, we need to get the consumer statements removed from the credit report. And I'm going to walk you guys through how to do that. We're also going to work on the negative accounts that are affecting this client. And we're going to just kind of use this client's credit report to go over so you guys understand how to read a credit report and the information that we should be working on versus what we should not be working on. Okay. If there's nothing wrong with an account, we don't need to dispute it. Okay. If you have an account that's on your credit report and it's closed, it's got a zero balance, there's no late payments, there's nothing that would be affecting the credit in a negative manner, leave it alone. We do not even need to touch it. Okay. So first things first, we want to look at the personal information, make sure the name and the address and the employer are all correct. In this client's case, we've already worked on the personal information. So the name, address, and employer are all correct. And now we have to move down to the consumer statement, and we need to remove the consumer statement. Now you'll notice in a lot of this information is blurred out, so you can't see it exactly, but TransUnion and Experian have a consumer statement listed. Equifax does not. So we only need to send a letter to TransUnion and Experian. Whenever you are dealing with any type of personal information, whether you're updating your address, your name, your employer, whatever the case may be, you're going to need to submit your driver's license or a state ID. Okay. You're going to need to submit a proof of address, something like a statement, a utility bill that has your correct name and address on it. You're also going to need to send them a copy of your social security card. Why? Because they need to verify you are who you say you are. Anyone can call the credit bureau and say, hey, I'm this person. I need to change this, or I need to remove this, especially when it comes down to removing a consumer statement or updating a telephone number that might be listed on a consumer statement. Now, in this client's case, we do not want a consumer statement. I don't care if you have been a victim of identity theft or not. Less is better. You do not want to have a fraud alert or any sort of consumer statement listed on your credit report. We want to simply have it removed. Okay. And we're going to actually send a letter to the credit bureaus bills, and I have a letter inside of Credit Repair Cloud, so it's going to make the process a lot easier. Okay, so that's step number one, because the client is getting declined for credit. They're not able to buy another vehicle until the creditor can verify their identity. And, it's very frustrating for a lot of people, but a lot of people don't even look at their credit report, so they don't realize that this is the issue. This is one of the main reasons why someone would get declined for credit, because if you have any sort of consumer statement on your credit report, they would need to call you and verify you as a person before they extend credit to you. Okay, so that's number one. And again, we're just looking at the credit report before we import it into Credit Repair Cloud, because you always want to understand the data first. Credit Repair Cloud is simply a tool to help you automate the process, but you want to understand the data that you're up against. You want to understand how to read a credit report. You want to understand what you should be disputing, what you should not be disputing. Okay, so we're going to be looking at some of the accounts here, and the first account that we see, you can always tell, because if the payment status says something like collection, charge off, derogatory, you're looking for those type of words, right? You'll see the account rating for this particular account says derogatory. That means that this is negative and it is affecting them in a negative way. Now, the good thing is this account is only listed with TransUnion, and we had actually got this account removed, but it looks like it came back. So we are going to be disputing it again. Generally, if something has been disputed in the past, you'll see creditor remarks. You'll see that, account information was disputed, but it meets the FCRA requirements. Just keep disputing. Just keep fighting, okay? At the end of the day, it is hard to factually dispute when you only have an account reporting to one bureau. But what we are going to do is say, hey, TransUnion, we are challenging you on this data. Where are you getting this data? Clearly, you are the only credit reporting agency that is reporting. And what we can do is simply send them a screenshot of this saying, hey, Equifax is not reporting it. Experian is not reporting it. You are the only credit reporting bureau that is actually reporting this unauthorized information, this, outdated information, this fraudulent information. However you want to express it, it all at the end of the day can mean the same thing, but you want to make sure that you're using trigger words like unknown account information, inaccurate account information, fraudulent account information. There's so many different ways that you can word things, but you definitely want to be unique. You don't want to use what everyone else is using. Okay. So I hope that helps a bit. You always want to add a custom reason and custom instruction inside Credit Repair Cloud. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll understand. And I've, have gone through this several times because we want to be different. We want to be unique. We want to try to, stay away from getting the computer system to say, oh, we think that you're from a credit repair company and we're not going to process your dispute, blah, 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 blah. That automated message that a ton of people are getting. And I actually did a video on that as well. So in this case, this is literally one of the only accounts that are left on his credit report that are affecting him in a derogatory manner. So in this case, when we're talking about only having one account that's derogatory, we can talk about trade lines, because trade lines are going to help someone like this. Now, the only other issue that this client has is excessive inquiries because they were shopping for a vehicle. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But in regards to this account, we'll go ahead and we will get this disputed. We want to make sure that we're disputing it with the creditor who is reporting it to the creditors, the creditor that is reporting it to the credit bureaus, and we want to dispute it with TransUnion. There is no reason to dispute it with Experian or Equifax because it is not reporting to those bureaus. It is only reporting to TransUnion. So in this case, this client could apply for places that only pull Experian or only pull Equifax in order to approve him. But, there are other factors. We want to get that consumer statement off, and we also want to clean up the inquiries. But you will see as we go through this client's file, this is a very thin credit file. And what a thin thin credit file means is they do not have a lot of accounts that are on their credit report. So they don't have enough credit. And, this is one of those clients that really didn't have any credit. The only thing that he had on his credit were negative accounts. So, as we started working together, he was able to acquire some vehicles. He was able to, achieve some of the things that he wants to do, but he's still, very scared to get a credit card, which I understand, but we do need credit cards in order for our credit score to continue to rise. We do need to have a nice mixture of accounts on our credit report. So what does that look like? Well, I would say 2 installment loans. That can be an auto loan, student loan, any sort of loan where you pay the same amount every single month until that balance is paid off. Like this account here, this is considered an installment account. This was an old auto loan. It's closed. It's zeroed out. There's nothing negative about it. So we're not going to dispute it. We do not need to dispute it. You'll even see the dispute status, account not disputed. There's no reason for us to dispute accounts that don't have any negative information. Okay. So if it has a zero balance and there's nothing that says anything like derogatory, collection, charge off, late payments, anything like that, we don't need to touch it. So this is a good account. You can see the payment history. It's got great payment history. So perfect. Let's go ahead and move on from that. And then what brings us to our next account. So this was an auto loan that the client was actually able to acquire after we started working together. It's a recent account that they were able to get, and currently it's in good standing. There's nothing negative. So we're just going to go ahead and leave it. The client wants to get another auto loan on top of this. So that's where we're having the issue because of that consumer statement. And of course, the excessive amount of inquiries. So those are the only 3 accounts on this client's file. So that is considered a very thin credit file. And what I have done for this client just to get their credit score up a little bit is I've added 1 trade line to this credit file, and the trade line should give the client at least a 680 credit score. The client really needs more trade lines. They need probably 2 to 3 trade lines to help them get over a 700 credit score. But for now, we're just going to start with 1, and then we can always add more as time goes on. So if you do need trade lines, or if you need to add trade lines to your credit report or others, I have a tremendous amount of trade lines that we offer, and I'm telling you, they are just awesome because we can guarantee that they will post to at least 2 out of the 3 credit bureaus. Most of the cards that I get my clients will post to all 3. So if you need trade lines, there is a link in the description of this video where you can view our trade line list, and then you can actually purchase the trade lines. They will post very quickly. They post 10 days after the statement date. So we can help you put together a package to help you boost your credit score. And that way, it will make getting approvals a little bit easier for some items. And of course, if you have a thin file like this, it's going to be very easy to get to that 700 mark. So the only other thing that's really affecting this client are all of these inquiries. There's a ton of recent inquiries because the client was shopping for another auto loan. So I'm going to show you a trick that I use because if you have used Credit Repair Cloud in the past, you'll notice that inquiries are a little tricky to work with, especially if you've already disputed them in the past. So this is great for those of you that are not using software, because what we're going to be doing is simply copying this information and pasting it into Word. So that way we'll have it and we can, you can use it in Word or you can copy and paste it into Credit Repair Cloud. However you want to use it, it's going to be there because again, we're just focused on getting the data. Okay. So we've got all of these inquiries. And the great thing about the Smart Credit Report is all of your creditor information is going to be listed at the very bottom of your credit report. So you'll see at the very bottom, you'll see creditor contacts. And that's where you want to send your dispute letter so you can dispute the accounts directly with the creditor. I would not necessarily recommend disputing inquiries with a creditor until you actually need to, because they're, very small item compared to, collections or things of that nature. When it comes to inquiries, a lot of times the credit bureaus will just remove it. However, if you are in a rush, or, if you feel like you're going to get better traction contacting the creditor, by all means, dispute the inquiry directly with the creditor. You can dispute it with the credit bureau that's in question and the creditor that placed the inquiry on it. And you'll have all of the contact information at the very bottom here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select all of these inquiries. Now, when it comes to inquiries, here's the general rule of thumb that I use. If the inquiry is not associated with any account that's on your credit report, we're going to dispute it. Any inquiry that is actually associated with an account, we are not going to dispute it. So for example, if you have an account with Capital One and you dispute the inquiry, it could potentially lead to them closing your Capital One account because you're saying that you didn't authorize the inquiry. So I would leave any inquiries that you actually have an account with just to be on the safe side. So I am actually using a MacBook Pro, but anyone that is using, it doesn't really matter what kind of computer you're using. Basically, what you want to do is you want to copy this information right here. Okay, just copy that. And I'm just going to use my keyboard shortcuts, Control C to copy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up a Microsoft Word document and I'm going to copy that information right into the document. So let's go ahead and do that. Open up just a blank document. And here we are inside of Microsoft Word. So I'm just going to go here and I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste special. Okay. This is a very important part. You want to paste this with no formatting. So when we go to paste special, you're going to paste it unformatted because you don't want the formatting from where you copied it. We're going to hit OK. And what that does is it literally will copy and paste just the data and it will not format the data. So what we can do is we can easily go through all of these and we can take out the ones that we don't want to dispute. So I know that they have an account with them, but it wasn't anything recent. So let's go ahead and see the recent ones. So these are the recent inquiries that were valid, and everything else on here is not valid. So it's a lot of inquiries. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sort them. Okay. And I'm going to sort them by the credit bureau. Actually, what we're going to need to do is put it into Excel. And you can copy and paste into Excel unformatted as well. But this is just kind of like a short way to get all of the inquiries that are on your credit report organized for future use. So that way you have them all documented. And you don't have to do it this way, of course, but I do it this way because we are going to be literally using this information and just putting it into the letters inside of Credit Repair Cloud. So now I have all of this information, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort the data, custom sort, and I'm just going to sort it by the credit bureau. So now they're all sorted. So we have all of the inquiries from Equifax. We got all of the inquiries from Experian. We have all of the inquiries from TransUnion. So all of this data is already there. So I can literally copy, and you don't necessarily need to copy the name of the credit bureau and all I have to do is just copy and paste it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to save that for later. Okay. So that's a nice, easy trick that you can use because we're just going to be copying the data that's directly on your credit reports. And we're going to be using that in our dispute letters, whether you use Credit Repair Cloud or you're using Microsoft Word, however you're using whatever software you're using, you can go ahead and use that trick. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to head over to the clients tab at the top and we're going to find our clients file, and we're going to start working on their file. And I know that was a lot of work, and we're like, oh my God, we haven't even got to Credit Repair Cloud. Well, you have to understand the process, okay? Once you understand the process, then it's going to become a lot quicker. And of course, you'll kind of get your rhythm and the way that you do everything to make it that much better, okay? So once you are in your client's file, you want to go ahead and you want to go over to tab 1, or you can actually go to this import audit button right here. It's going to take you to the same place. So if you click on this, it's actually going to take you to tab 1. As you can see, we're going to re-import the credit report, re-import it. And the most important thing when you re-import is just to make sure that you have updated the data. So you're getting the latest and greatest data from Smart Credit or whatever credit monitoring company that you're using. There are only a few that are compatible with Credit Repair Cloud, and I have used pretty much all of them, but I highly recommend Smart Credit. So again, if you are looking to become a credit hero, use the link in the description of this video to get signed up to become a free affiliate directly with Smart Credit. So that way you can provide your clients with your affiliate link, and it's an additional stream of income. Affiliate marketing is a great way for you to start building. Okay, so here are the results from last time. We have 18 items that were deleted. So we got a lot of inquiries deleted, but yet we still have so many. So that's why when you're dealing with so many inquiries, it's easier just to kind of document them on another form like Excel or Word or maybe even a notepad, just get them documented so you can easily copy and paste. I like Excel because then you can sort them by bureau and easily just copy and paste. So this is the report from the last time. We're not going to go through all of this because we know most of those were simply inquiries and he just added a bunch more. We're going to download this as a PDF so we can provide that to our client as an update. And what I always like to do for clients is I'd like to also email this to them, and we also import this to the internal notes so we are documenting the process. Okay, we'll X out of that for now. We're going to continue to the report, and we're going to go through and we're going to tag all of the items that we need to dispute. So when it comes to inquiries, you'll see a lot of these have already been disputed, but yet they're still on the credit report. So we're going to go ahead and select all of the accounts that we want to dispute on here, but really it's not going to matter too much because we're just going to copy and paste from our sheet that we already copied and pasted from, okay? And I know that might seem like double work, but honestly, I've found it to be a lot easier because then you can ensure that you are disputing all of the inquiries that you need to dispute, because when it comes to Credit Repair Cloud, you have to manually add them and it can get kind of confusing. So I like to just copy and paste all of the inquiries in there based on the credit report and based on what the credit report is actually reporting. So we'll just go ahead and click all of these besides that one that is valid. Out of all of these inquiries, we literally only have like one inquiry that's actually valid. So this goes to show when you go and apply for an auto loan, they literally shop your credit, destroy it with inquiries in order to get you approved, which is why I always recommend my clients to get private financing and not go through an auto dealership, but rather go directly to a credit union and have them, run your credit to get an auto loan directly with them. Okay. So we're just going to simply put the inquiry. There was no permissible purpose. And in this case, it is fraudulent information because of the fact that you did not authorize them to pull your credit so many times. So we're just going to say not authorized, no permissible purpose or other reason. And for the instruction, we're going to keep it very simple. We are just going to say delete. Actually, we can just add a new instruction. I'm going to put delete immediately. Okay, so we've put in the instruction, delete immediately before legal action is taken. And what we can do is we can save the instruction for future use. Now, keep in mind this instruction will not be saved until you actually click save at the bottom, but you do not need to save this same instruction multiple times. You just have to save it once, and then that will be saved in your instructions that you can use in the future. Okay, so those are for all the inquiries, but again, we're going to kind of add those our own way anyways. And then now with Credit Repair Cloud, they have recently started doing this where you will see the account that we want to dispute, and you'll notice that it says that it's in dispute. So it doesn't look like it's a negative account. And that's why it's so important for you to understand what's negative, what's positive, what you need to dispute, and you have an understanding of what you need to do and not relying on the software. Because in this case, we actually do need to dispute this. Again, it is already listed as in dispute, but that doesn't mean anything to us. So what you need to do is actually change it from in dispute and change it to negative. Okay. And then that will bring up the option for you to, dispute it, add a reason, add an instruction, so on and so forth. So what we are going to do in this case is we are going to say the account data listed is fraudulent. The account is inaccurate and I'm seeking litigation. I demand you delete it immediately. Okay, great. That's perfect. We don't need to add anything else. Less is better in these cases. Okay, for everything else, there's nothing else that we need to dispute. The only thing that we would need to do after this is hit continue and continue to the wizard. Okay, so now we are in the generate letter tab, which is tab 3 right here, and we are going to select some letters that we want to use. I always select round 2 or higher so we can actually select what letters that we want to use. You want to select who these letters are going to be going to, whether they're going to the credit bureau or the creditor. In this case, they're going to be going to the credit bureau. And then we're going to actually add the saved pending items that we just went through and tagged. Now, you'll notice the consumer statement doesn't necessarily come up, and you'll see that there's a bunch of things that are in orange. All of those items that are in orange means that those are items that you previously disputed, and that's why it gets really confusing when you are talking about so many different inquiries, because the only time that an inquiry is actually going to show up in red again is if it is a new inquiry and you have not previously disputed it. So instead of us trying to guess on what is left and what is not, we are literally just going to generate the letter, and then we will manually add in the inquiries that are actually on our credit report just to kind of keep it simple. And, that way we know it's done correctly. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do is I just want to generate a letter to both Experian and to TransUnion based on personal information so we can do the consumer statement request. So in this case, I'm just going to select anything from the personal information that's going to go to both Experian and TransUnion so I can generate a letter. I'm going to hit add to dispute, save and continue, and I'm going to select a credit bureau letter, and I've actually have a letter saved in here that says remove fraud alert, and we're going to select that letter. So I'm actually going to select it right here, remove consumer personal statement. Okay. And this is a custom letter that I put into my letter library. We do have our letter library for sale. There is a link in the description if you want to get additional dispute letters to put into your letter library, and you can customize them all. All right. So this, again, we're just using this to generate the letter, but we're actually going to go back to the credit report. Again, we want to work side by side, and I'm going to copy this consumer statement that's listed under TransUnion. And I'm just going to write in some information for them. So I'm going to head over to the TransUnion tab, and for some reason it's formatting the name a little weird, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and take out some of this stuff because it doesn't apply. His information is correct, but this letter kind of covers remove my personal consumer statement and update my personal information. Make sure to to delete all of my coughing if you can. Okay, so we're going to format the letter. And what we're going to do in here is we're just going to say, you currently have the following consumer statement listed on my credit report, and I demand you remove any and all consumer statements immediately. Oops, spelled that wrong. I download the app Grammarly, so it catches all of the misspelled items, okay? And it also helps with grammar and things of that nature. Okay, we're gonna put, you currently have the following consumer statement listed on my credit report, and I demand you remove any and all consumer statements immediately. So I'm just gonna paste in what they have in there, okay? And then again, I'm gonna put remove, and then we can put this in caps, remove the consumer statement from my credit. I am being declined. I spelled that. I can't spell today. Don't mind me. I can't spell today. I am being declined. Actually, let's not put this in caps. I am being declined credit because you have phone numbers on my credit report that are fraud. Okay, so I just kind of put a little extra information here. I have called you to advise you of the following. Now I'm putting in writing for you to correct immediately. I don't know what the hell is wrong with you. Sometimes, you can curse, you can say things like that are inappropriate that might not look like they're coming from a company. Why the hell are you doing something I never asked you to do? Remove the damn fraud alert from my consumer statement. You are violating the law. We're going to put in here, you currently have the following consumer statement listed on my credit report, and I demand you remove any and all consumer statements immediately. And you can just paste in whatever they have listed on your credit report, so that way they will remove it, okay? And again, we're going to just put remove the consumer statement from my credit file. I am being declined credit because you have phone numbers on my credit report that are fraudulent and do not belong to me. The phone numbers listed in this consumer statement do not belong to me. And then sometimes I like to repeat myself because they act like they don't understand what the heck you're asking them sometimes. So oftentimes I will repeat myself. We're going to go ahead and just put, please remove any and all consumer statements on my credit file. I have never requested to place a consumer statement on my credit report, and I demand you remove all consumer statements immediately. Okay, I'm going to leave that on there too. Since I am not getting help from you, I've reached out to a consumer lawyer who did inform me that you must follow the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And then I put here under USC code 1681I, procedure of case of disputed accuracy, you are required to promptly delete all information that cannot be verified as accurate. And then we'll put period. I understand that per the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you are required to notify me of your investigation within 30 days. However, since this information is listed as fraud, you are required to remove this from my credit report within 4 days. Okay. My contact information is above. I have included proof of my identity. We're going to put in social card and current proof of address. and we'll just put proof of address, okay? And proof of address to avoid any delays in your response time. Please note, I have resided at my current address for well over 2 years. Please provide correspondence in writing via USPS mail. Thank you for your time and attention to this. We're going to go ahead and put sensitive matter. Okay. You want to make sure that you're getting your point across and it's very clear. In this letter, I'm just focused on the consumer statement. You'll notice that I don't have anything about the inquiries. I don't have anything else on here. And since I've already kind of formatted this letter, I'm going to clear all the formatting so everything looks the same. I can actually copy and paste this into the letter for Experian because I've already said what I need to say regarding this matter, and I can literally copy it and use the same verbiage for Experian. So it kind of saves time. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that, and then I'm going to select this. I'm going to go to format, and I'm going to clear the formatting, and then I'm going to paste it in here. Now, keep in mind, the only thing that we need to change is the exact verbiage that Experian has on file. So I'm going to go back to the credit report, copy the consumer statement that is listed under the Experian file, and just paste it in place of that. Okay. And I'm just going to keep the same verbiage here. So we've got everything that needs to be said. So now we've got both letters completed, one for Experian, one for TransUnion. Now you kind of see how I had to think outside of the box in this case, because this is not something that Credit Repair Cloud is going to be training you on. This is not something that a lot of people even know to do, but it is very, very important. So what we're going to be doing is actually what I want to do is I want to advise them the correct telephone number for this client as well. So I'm actually going to put that in my letter here. Hold on one second. In case they have any questions or need to update the phone, I'm going to put my only phone number is this. Okay. Please note, I have had this same and only telephone number for the past 10 years. Okay. All right. And we can put that in bold because that's very important. All right. And then we'll go ahead and put that underneath here as well, because there's telephone numbers that are in this consumer statement that simply don't belong to him. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and just add that to both of the letters. And sometimes, you kind of have to add additional items in here based on, what the best situation is. Sometimes not everything is so cookie cutter, right? So I always recommend, dealing with the situation and saying, hey, what can I do to make it more clear on what I want the credit bureaus to do? Because sometimes they act like they don't understand what it is that you're asking them to do. Okay. So let's go ahead, make sure that's in there. Okay. That looks good. And make sure everything looks good. I always double check my letters because sometimes when you copy and paste, it will completely cut it off and you have to repaste it in. So these look good. We're going to go ahead and save them for later. And this is going to be my first request. I'm just going to name it Consumer Statement Request. Okay. And we're just going to I can put personal info because it has to do with personal info. And I'm going to save those two letters. Okay, so personal info consumer statement is done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit my back button at the very bottom of my screen. I am not going to hit the back button on my browser, but at the bottom left-hand side of the screen, we're going to go ahead and hit that back button. So we can go ahead and generate some more letters. I'm going to delete these. So I'm going to trash those and I'm going to go back up to step 1, make sure that I have round 2 selected, select credit bureaus. Now we're going to work on the inquiries. inquiries, okay? Because there's so many of them. So you can select all of the inquiries that you want to add. It will add them in, but we're just going to delete them and add our own in. Basically, what this will do is just let the system know that they're under dispute. The easiest way to go about so many inquiries is to literally just select everything and unselect the items that you don't want to dispute, because that will kind of trick Credit Repair Cloud into thinking that you are disputing all of these items. But really, you know, it's kind of hard to keep track of so many inquiries. So I feel like the best and most efficient way is to do it based on the information that's actually on the credit report, not what Credit Repair Cloud thinks or says or whatever. So that's why I always say, always base your, you know, work off of the data that's actually on your credit monitoring. Okay. Whether you're using Smart Credit, Identity IQ, whatever the case is, just make sure that you are working on your credit file based on the information that's actually listed on your credit report. Okay. We're going to unselect that one account that we still need to dispute. We'll focus on that right after our inquiries, and we'll just make sure that all of these inquiries are selected, unselect everything else. You'll notice there's so many inquiries and we just got a bunch deleted. So we're going to add all of these to the dispute. And you know, when it comes to inquiries and them being unauthorized, you don't really need to stick to a limit because, you know, most of the time I only want to add about 5 to 7 accounts per dispute letter. But in this case, there's going to be a lot more, because if you were to only dispute 5 items in a letter, it's going to take you forever to dispute all of these inquiries. So we're going to put all of these inquiries onto one letter and we're going to just get them disputed. So these are going to be credit bureau letters. We're going to go ahead and use one of our inquiry removal letters. And I've got a few in here that I use for inquiries, because again, I never use the same letter over and over and over. Even if I do have a letter, I'll often go in and adjust the verbiage and kind of update it a bit as well. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. Let me try this new inquiry removal letter, generate the letter, and you'll see that it actually generates all 3 of the letters. And then what I'm going to do is I'll just go into my Excel tab and I'll grab all of these inquiries from Equifax and I'll copy them. And instead of using this format from Credit Repair Cloud, I'm just going to delete all of that. And again, it's okay to do this because you want to be different. Okay. So we're going to just paste in, there we go. And we're just going to put the following inquiries are unauthorized and I demand you remove and delete them from my credit file. Okay. All right. Perfect. That is fine. All right. So that was easy. Now let's head over to Experian and we'll do the same thing. I'm going to grab, and again, I'm not putting in the names because it's just not necessary. We just need to include the name of the inquiry and the date. The name and the date. That's really the most important piece of information that we're looking for here. Okay. And you don't really need to, you know, list out them all separately like Credit Repair Cloud does. You can, of course, but in this case, there's so many of them that it's a lot easier just to do it like this. Okay. So, I'm just going to grab that same verbiage that I just used and I'm going to use it for Experian. So I'm going to just paste that in. And sometimes when you copy and paste, it deletes it out just like it did. It cuts it instead of copying it. So we just got to make sure that we paste it back in. That's why I always double check my letters, because it often does that. So we've got the inquiries for Equifax. We've got all the inquiries for Experian. And the last but not least is TransUnion. So before I forget, and while I've got it copied, I can paste that in, that little verbiage in. And I'm going to just delete all of these that got generated. Oh my gosh, there's like 38. That's a lot. I'm going to go into my Excel file and I'm just going to literally copy all of these from TransUnion, okay? And in this client's file, it's pretty easy to determine what inquiries we want to dispute because he doesn't have any accounts with these people. They were literally just trying to sabotage his credit when they were shopping it. So we just want to add all of those onto the letter here and boom. We're done. We've got all of the disputes together for the inquiries. What we're going to do is just save it for later. And we're just going to put INQ for inquiries. And I can just type or save this as INQ for inquiries. And we're going to save all letters. Okay. Now, if you wanted to dispute the inquiries with the creditors, you certainly could. You would just hit your back button and you would actually just need to use Credit Repair Cloud and you would select creditor that's reporting them to the credit bureau. Okay. And that would generate a letter for all of these places. The only thing that you have to do sometimes is enter the address in there, but it will help you generate all of those letters if you needed to. Now, the fun thing about this is we would need to trash all of these items. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to go to a separate tab and I'm going to come back. So it'll clear it out for me because as soon as you move to a different tab, it's going to clear out all of the information that you're working on. So we're going to go back to tab 3, which is where you generate the letters. And you'll notice it's like starting from scratch instead of going through and deleting all that stuff. So the last thing that we have to do is just dispute that last letter. And we're going to select round 2 or higher so we can select a custom letter. And this is going to be going to the credit bureaus first. And we're just going to go find that one negative account that's left on the credit file. And we are going to select it to be disputed again. And, you know, sometimes you just have to continue to dispute things in order for them to actually get removed. And, you know, we've disputed this thing a few times, but TransUnion is being a little stubborn nowadays, but I'm sure that we can get this removed. And nothing is ever guaranteed. I never guarantee anything to anybody, but if you stay consistent and you continue to challenge it, you will see results. Okay, so let's go ahead and add this to the dispute. It's literally the last item that is in red that needs to be disputed. We're going to hit save and continue. We're going to select a letter going to the credit bureaus. And then we are also going to find a letter here. So this is not a collection. This is actually the original creditor that's reporting it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the fraud account data letter for the credit bureaus. And I'm going to reformat the letter so it does not look like it's coming from Credit Repair Cloud. Okay. I'm going to put the account information right here. Since this is TransUnion, I like to reformat everything so it does not look like it's coming from Credit Repair Cloud because they will send you that automated letter, blah, 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 blah. And what we want to do is just literally try to get this to an agent. I'm going to put, oops, we had a few misspelled words and that's okay. I don't feel like I have to be perfect, but that's why Grammarly, the app, it is a free app. You can download it and it will catch things like misspellings and things of that nature on any, website or whatever program you are using. So it's nice to kind of have it as a backup just in case, you misspelled something or, have provided, maybe wording that's not so clear. It'll offer ways to rewrite things so it comes across more clear. Now I'm just going to put a quick note in here. I have attached proof. This account is, I'm just going to put, I have attached proof. This account needs to be deleted from my credit file. This is my last attempt to correct this directly with you before I proceed with a lawsuit. Okay, I have attached proof. This account needs to be deleted from my credit file. This is my last attempt to correct this, or to get this corrected directly with you before I proceed with a lawsuit. I have already spoken with a legal team who is prepared to sue you for damages, period. Okay. That's really all that we need to do. We're going to go ahead and save this for later. And this is going to be like round 4 for us. And we'll just kind of put in a brief description of what it is. We're just going to put disputes, save. And then what we can also do is we can save it directly with, dispute it directly with the creditor. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit this little back button. Again, that back button is the bottom left-hand side of the screen. You do not want to hit anything but this little word that says back. It's going to take you back to the screen that you were just at. If you hit your back button or go to another screen, it'll completely clear out everything. So that's why we want to use that. Okay, so instead of this letter going to the credit bureaus, we are going to send it to the creditor who is reporting the item. It's already there. The address is already there because it's imported from the credit report. And again, if you ever needed to get the address, you would just log into Smart Credit, scroll to the very bottom of your credit report where you can see all of your creditor contact information. Okay, we're going to hit save and continue. We are going to select a creditor letter. Now, when you are dealing with an original creditor, like we are in this case, they do not have to follow the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. They are the original creditor. So you do not want to use a letter that is meant for a collection company. You want to actually just factually dispute the information, or you can dispute the contract directly with the creditor. In this case, we are going to be challenging the contract with them. Okay. So we're going to hit creditor, and we are actually going to be selecting, I have a letter that I would like to use, and it's not really any of these items. So, you can always upload new letters into your letter library or things like this and kind of adjust it to fit this situation as needed. But I'm just going to use a basic one, request removal of incorrect info, and I'm going to hit generate letter. And this is just a very basic dispute letter. And obviously you can see there's quite a bit of updates that need to be done because sometimes it's hard to correct everything when you're moving so fast and you don't have spell check on here. Okay. And we're just going to say, please contact TransUnion immediately to remove this information. Because the fact that it's only reporting to TransUnion. And we can put all of this stuff pretty much on one line. Okay, we're going to go ahead and just save this. It's very standard, and we're actually going to take this out. Okay, and we're just going to save this for later. And we're going to let the client know if they receive anything from the creditor to send it over to us. We always ask our clients to scan and email over everything that they receive in the mail from credit bureaus, from creditors, any sort of communication we need to know about. So that way we can understand how they are responding and compare that with the data that is on the credit reports and decide what the best action is to do next. So now we are completely done with this credit file. So hopefully when we get our next update, we will go ahead and see the changes that have occurred. There will be some more inquiries that have been removed, and we can really focus on building up more positive credit. In this client's case, once we get that one negative mark updated, or at least, removed, whatever we can do, whether that's, getting it to update the information, but in his case, probably best just to get the entire account removed. But once we can turn that negative into a positive, then it's going to help out a lot. Obviously, the inquiries are going to need to be, come down as well. But it's okay to have a few inquiries, especially if you have accounts with those inquiries. But just building up positive credit, more positive on-time payments that are going to help your overall credit score. And I know a lot of people don't want to get a bunch of credit cards, just like this client doesn't want to, but you need credit cards in order to build your credit. You need to understand how to build credit and how to structure your credit report so that way you can have long-term success. Again, guys, my name is Credit Coach Nicole Scott. If you have not by now, make sure that you have subscribed to my channel. We have have a ton of different training videos when it comes down to credit repair, and you can view all of those videos on our credit repair training playlist that I do have listed in the link below. For us to connect more, visit the links in our description where you can follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on TikTok, all of the social media platforms. Make sure that you have left me a comment. Let me know what you have found most valuable about this video. And if you have watched this video until the very end, I thank you, my friend, because I'm telling you, this information was simply not available to me when I first started, and I had to figure it all out myself. And it has taken me years to get through, all these tricks and things that I do to make my life easier when it comes to helping my clients. But, sometimes you need to invest in coaching. And that's why I offer one-on-one coaching to a lot of credit heroes out there, because it is so much information. There is so much to know. And what I help you do is simplify your process so we can get a good process that is going to work for you and help you get through all of the mess. So without further ado, guys, I am going to sign off for this video, but I truly appreciate you. And I hope that you will watch our next video from our Credit Repair Cloud training playlist coming up next. Take care.